They attacked humanity's favorite alien, then Earth rallied for war. The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires had risen and crumbled. Stars had been weaponized. Entire civilizations had been erased from the cosmic record. But in 10,000 years of recorded interstellar history, no one had ever been stupid enough to do what the Kreth Dominion did on the 14th day of the Galactic Conclave. They shot Ambassador Lyra Vera. She had not been dressed for war when it happened. She wore the ceremonial silver robes of her people, the Velhari, a species known for their luminescent skin, their 4 delicate fingers, and their uncanny ability to remember every face they had ever seen. Lyra's skin was pale gold, almost glowing under the conclave hall's lights, and her eyes were the deep violet of a dying nebula. She had been laughing. That was the image that burned itself into every camera feed, every news broadcast, every human neural link across 14 colony worlds. Ambassador Lyra Vera, mid-laugh, turning to say something to the human aide beside her, and then the pulse round hit her in the shoulder, spinning her off her feet and crashing her into the delegation table. The Kreth representative hadn't even fled. He stood there, holding the weapon, and said 3 words in Dominion Standard. Remove the aberration. He was referring to humanity's diplomatic team. The humans who had, over the last 40 years, become the closest allies the Velhari had ever known. He was saying that Lyra's association with humans had made her unclean, a collaborator, a stain on the purity of non-human galactic order. He had made a serious miscalculation. The signal reached Earth 6 hours later. Admiral Darian Voss was in the middle of a budget briefing when his aide pressed a data chip into his hand without a word. He looked at it. He looked at his aide's face. He excused himself from the room. He watched the footage once. Then he walked to the Strategic Command floor, pulled up the 6th Fleet's deployment map, and said, very quietly, "Get me the Joint Chiefs." Darian Voss was not a man given to speeches. He was 53 years old, gray at the temples, with a jaw like carved stone and eyes that junior officers described as the color of a hull breach warning. He had fought in the Outer Reach conflicts. He had negotiated the Cygnus armistice. He had once spent 11 days on a disabled frigate eating ration supplements and playing chess against the ship's dying AI. He was not, by nature, a man who got angry. But he had met Lyra Vera 7 years ago at the Kepler Station Summit, when she had spent 40 minutes patiently explaining Velhari grief customs to a human cadet who had accidentally insulted her delegation, not with irritation, but with genuine warmth. He had watched her, over the years, become something rare in the galaxy, a bridge. A being who genuinely liked humans. Who laughed at human jokes, who had learned 3 Earth languages for fun, who sent handwritten notes on actual paper because she said she loved the way humans made objects carry meaning. He pulled up her medical report from the Conclave's emergency team. Critical. Stable. 2 surgeries required. He closed the file. "Get me the Joint Chiefs," he said again. "And someone contact Velhari High Command. Tell them," he paused. "Tell them Earth is asking for permission to be angry on their behalf." The response from the Velhari came in 4 minutes. It was the fastest official government communication in recorded Velhari history. Their High Matriarch, in full ceremonial dress, looked directly into the camera and said, "Permission granted. And our gratitude, beyond what our language holds." That was all Earth needed. What happened next, historians would later describe as the most efficient military mobilization since the Unification Wars. Within 72 hours of the shooting, the United Earth Fleet had recalled 40% of its active vessels from patrol routes. Within a week, every human colony world had voted unanimously, in some cases for the first time in their political history, to authorize military action under the Galactic Defense Charter. The Kreth Dominion had expected outrage. Protests, perhaps. Economic sanctions. A strongly worded statement from the UN Galactic Council. They had not expected this. They had not understood something fundamental about humanity, something every species that had ever tried to threaten Earth's allies had eventually learned, usually too late. Humans did not go to war for resources. Not really. Not at their core. Humans went to war for people. Admiral Voss's flagship, the UEFS Covenant, dropped out of FTL at the edge of Kreth space with 63 vessels behind it. The formation was not aggressive in arrangement, it was something more deliberate than aggression. It was patient. The kind of patience that comes after fury has been fully processed and converted into purpose. The Kreth border station hailed them immediately. You are in violation of Dominion space. Withdraw or be engaged. Voss took the communication personally. He sat in the command chair, straightened his uniform, and looked at the camera. My name is Admiral Darian Voss, United Earth Fleet. I am here representing 42 billion human beings across 14 worlds, and I have a message for the Kreth Dominion Council. He paused. Not for effect, he simply chose his words with care. Ambassador Lyra Vera is alive. She will recover. And I want you to understand that this fact is the only reason I am speaking to you instead of acting. He leaned forward slightly. You called her an aberration. You tried to remove her because she chose to stand with us. I need you to understand something. The moment she made that choice, she became ours to protect. That is not a political statement. That is not a negotiating position. His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. That is a promise. Humanity does not abandon its people. And Lyra Vera, whether she carries a human passport or not, is our people. The channel went quiet for a long moment. Then the Kreth commander said, uncertainly, you would go to war over one alien diplomat? Voss almost smiled. We went to war for less. We've gone to war over ideas. Over symbols. Over a flag on a hill. He gestured to the fleet behind him. But this? This is not less. This is a person. A person who spent 40 years building something between our species, something that took patience and grace and more kindness than most beings in this galaxy have ever bothered to offer us. He paused. So yes. We will go to war over her. We will go to war over the principle that you do not get to shoot someone for choosing to stand with humanity and walk away clean. Another silence. What are your terms? The Kreth commander asked. The Kreth Dominion surrendered the shooter within 6 hours. They agreed to 3 independent Galactic Council tribunals, paid reparations to the Velhari delegation, and issued a formal apology that, according to diplomatic observers, was the most genuinely frightened document ever produced by their government. No shots were fired. Voss considered that a victory. The best kind. Lyra Vera watched the newsfeed from her hospital bed on Conclave Station, her shoulder bandaged, her golden skin still pale from the blood loss. Her aide, a young human woman named Petra, sat beside her, having not left the room in 36 hours. When the Kreth surrender was confirmed, Petra let out a long breath and said, they did it. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, softly, I know humans go to war. I have read your history. I have always understood that you are capable of great violence. She looked at the feed, at the image of 63 ships hanging in formation. But I have never fully understood until now that your capacity for war and your capacity for loyalty come from the same place. Petra looked at her. What place is that? Lyra's violet eyes were bright. Love, she said simply. Humans love loudly. You love with consequences. She looked back at the screen, at the fleet that had crossed the stars for her, and for the first time since the shooting, she smiled. In the galactic record, the incident would be logged as the Conclave warning, a 7-day event with no casualties and 1 diplomatic restructuring. But in the corridors of every spaceport, every station bar, every alien embassy that dealt with humans, the story spread differently. It passed from species to species like a quiet lesson, handed down not in official documents but in whispers. Don't touch what humanity loves. They will not forgive you quickly. And they will not come alone.